Oh my gosh. Hey friends, we are looking at Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers set. This is by JAKI, Jaki, and this has, I want to say 760 something pieces. I'll put it on the screen here. And it also has a set number, which is KJ037. This one is part of a series of paintings that Van Gogh did between 1888 and 1889. And it's been done by other companies too. But what's unique about this version is that JAKI, the toy company, has made it do this. It dances. So the flowers, they don't spin, they wiggle. Maybe there's a little bit of rotation, but for the most part, they are wiggling up and down. And it's all happening with this little knob right here. And so in this video, we're going to take a look at how that works and we'll get a closer look. But I've also got a surprise, which is I'm going to add a motor to it. And we're going to see what happens when you motorize it. Okay, so looking at it, the build went together really well. It was nice to have colors that I could discern in the instructions. Sometimes the colors are hard to tell apart, and in this case I could tell them apart, so that was really wonderful because the colors are so different. The instructions are very well laid out, and I was afraid it would be super duper repetitive. It wasn't too bad. I mean, these parts here where you're clipping these ore pieces in, that was a little bit repetitive because there's two of those, and there's two that do this technique as well, actually, and there's three that do that, the ores. And if you see, notice here, there's this flame orange color versus yellow. So that was a little bit tricky for me to kind of see and to make sure the lights were nice and bright in the room I was building in. And you can see that there's these extra little builds on the side that just give these extra flourishes, which I think are really nice. Here is an image of some of the source material, right? Van Gogh's paintings. And so you can see that they've tried to recreate some of the ravages of time, right? Like that's part of it. The philosophy behind these was he wanted to show what time was going to do to these sunflowers versus the period of art that came before, where everything was a little more pristine. So you can see that there's a little of that happening here, especially here and here, these parts that are a little bit more abstract. I like the use of the sand green that they use throughout for some of those pieces to accomplish some of that detail. And then, I don't know if you can see, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit on how that mechanism works. But some of these are actually, they're turning, but then there are pistons that move it back and forth, up and down. And that's a clever way to do it. These are not straightforward gears. They're just connected to these flowers. But you can see here, there's this pipe right there that's getting moved up and down through a cylindrical sleeve. And so that sound you might be hearing is the sound of binding. And I'm about to show you why it binds. I'll turn it around. So here's what the gearing looks like on the back. And if you've ever built Technic, you may be immediately looking at this and seeing problems. And the problem I saw immediately when I was building it was this right here. This is just a normal gear, and it is mated to another like normal gear below it, or sorry, next to it. And it really should be beveled gears for at least this one, maybe this one too. But I don't know if those are in Lego's portfolio. So you've got this kind of weird tension happening right there. I've never seen that particular technique used before, where you have a square gear right up to another square gear like that. And then it's moving so many things. It has to move, like look how many gears that is that it has to move. And this is just to transfer the power to the different, to all four that move. So it does have some issues there. The other reason I think that this is binding. So let's turn it. You can see it moving, right? I think the other reason it's binding is because of the way that this is built, right? So there's a reason that Lego doesn't put their modulars on plates. Instead, they use base plates, which are thinner. Let me grab one as an example. Like here's a base plate, right? This is a base plate that Lego puts modulars on. It's not actually a plate. You see there's no anti-studs. It's more of this flexible sheet. And the reason they do that is because when you put a lot of actual plates together, what ends up happening is that this layer, the top layer, starts to pull on it. So we end up with a geometry where it should be straight, but it starts to bow like that. And so that's what's happening here. Let's see if you can see that. It is bowing in the middle. So this part right here is lower than this side and this side. And as it bows, I think that's putting additional stress on these gears because now they're either farther apart or a little closer together. There's different things happening because of that. The other way to do it would be to add a lot of Technic frame pieces, the square and rectangle pieces, and use that to make the back of it. But that adds a lot of cost potentially. While we're here, you can see that there's dimensionality to the footprint. So that's nice. This is meant to sit on a shelf. It's not meant to hang on a wall, but it can sit on a shelf and it'll be really stable. The connections here are pretty good. And I do like the way they made this little stand right here. I hadn't seen this technique before where it's just an axle piece that's stuck into it. And you've got an axle bushing right here. And then that handles the weight and the height for it. All right, so there you go. Fixing the binding, not too bad, not too hard. I did want to show you, since we looked at the bottom of this, I wanted to show you the spare parts that came with. Here's their brick separator. And here it came with these 3 window pieces and then some random spare parts. And I'm just now looking at the bottom of it. I wonder if these were supposed to go in here, like maybe here, here, and here for extra support. I mean, they would fit. So I think they would fit. I might go back and try to add them in there. Yeah, they might fit. So maybe that's just additional bracing where they go. So I'll have to take a look at that. All right, so I want to show you the motor setup that I made here. I have a motor. Here's what it looks like. Okay, so I've got a motor. This is, I think, medium size, maybe the small size. Put a gear on it and some apparatus to attach it to the model. And this is a newer power function, so I have an adapter cable that takes it to this train regulator. The train regulator, what this does is it lets you adjust speed. So you turn it, and that's max speed. This is off, and then this is max speed in the other direction. So that's how these work. And these plug into the wall. So I'm going to plug it into the wall off camera here because I don't have the length, and then we'll try it. All right, so there's the motor. The reason I removed this is this added a lot of extra torque for it to actually turn this handle too, so I took it off. All right, so let's do a test turn just a little bit here. All right, it's kind of turning. All right, I'm gonna press this down, wiggle this a little bit. Let's see what happens when I give it a little more speed. Oh, is it going? Oh, I just knocked the motor off. Let's try it again. Oh my gosh. It's alive. It's kind of working. I decided to move the motor here so it was doing a little bit less work potentially. Oh my gosh. It sounds like it's going to self-destruct any second now. Oh my gosh, so much stripping. Okay. Woo! Amazing. Oh, quieter now. Opposite direction, a little quieter. All right. That was fun. I'm going to take that off. All right, there you go. Probably not intended to do that. Probably not recommended. Cool. So I hope you got to see everything you wanted to see in this review. I think it's a fun set. I forgot to mention that I love the frame that they put on there. The borders are really well done because they've done this nice blue as well as the yellow, and then this light aqua in the back. It really offset all the colors. And yeah, there's other companies that have done it, but this one, they definitely have their own unique take on it, and the ability to actually animate it from the front, I think, is it's a nice addition, so long as it's not binding up. All right, there you go. Thanks so much. Like if you like, subscribe if you can, and it'll help me keep bringing you interesting sets. And sometimes we'll Frankenstein them like this, like we did today. All right, thanks.